Hello and welcome. My name is Will Card and I'll be giving a presentation on how music impacts our emotions. First, we're going to begin with my research questions. I had a total of 4 research questions, the first being, what is the psychological aspect to our emotions? In this question, I wanted to address how our emotions work, really, generally, with our brain, which there is a lot of research done, and quite frankly, we don't know everything about that. Moving on to my second question, can music be used to calm people? In this aspect, I was wondering, specifically, can music be used to calm people down, like specifically to that emotion, calming? Then in question 3, we have, how do different genres of music affect emotions? In this question, I was going into how separate music affects our emotions. So here we'd even go into ethnicity or geography. How would that, where you grow up, how does that affect what music you like and how it will impact you? And finally, we have, when in stressful situations, can music calm us down? And the vice versa. So this, I wanted to bring it up into the real life, in real situations, and find out if music could actively calm someone down while they're stressed out. Now, just before we get started, I want to get into the research and how I found my information. So, to start, a lot of it was done online through Google Scholar and different websites. Then we had my personal study that I conducted with my roommate and various other people. Then there were TED Talks, which I think it was 2 of them that came to my attention that helped a lot with new aspects to the research and everything. And then there was one YouTube video that really opened up my vision to some of the psychological aspects of this research. And then finally, a lot of it was common knowledge, just because I believe I do have some background in the musical field. And on top of that, I did take AP Psychology in high school, so this past year actually, so I think some of my knowledge of the psychological aspect was because of that class. Moving on to the background information here. Music has been proven on multiple occasions to affect mood in general. There are studies all over the place from different schools that prove that music can clearly have an effect on people and how they're feeling. You can see all over YouTube and Vine, all over social media in general, there are these videos of even babies who, when they hear music, their mood completely changes. It's really interesting. The music in movies, I found, has a lot of impact on perceived emotion. That's a thing that people do all the time. Even in classes in high school, I remember teachers would show a clip of a movie with the music, and then they'd show it without it, and it would be completely different. And that's something that composers use when they're writing scores for movies to convey emotion in a scene or something. Also, there are certain musical sounds that are considered happy or sad. That's just a fact. Through cultures, it may vary, but music is known to be categorized by most generally happy and sad, like that. And at the end of all this, I just want to make it clear that there is still no definitive link between music and mood, obviously, because we don't know everything about how music affects our brains, because as it is, we don't know about how our brains work in general. There's still so much that's undiscovered about that. Now on to the interview. I interviewed my roommate because of the sole reason that he uses music wherever he goes. He's always listening to music, whether it's doing homework, walking to class, or just trying to sleep even. When I asked him these questions, I came up with a plethora of information that helped and supported my findings. Jason uses music while walking to class. He says he does this because he just loves music and it makes him feel happier when he's going to class. He also uses music to focus on homework. I personally cannot do this, but for some reason he can listen to music with lyrics and everything and still be able to read, do math equations, and so on. At the end of my interview, he pretty much just summed it up by saying music makes him happier. One of the things I like to quote him on was that he said, "Music just makes me happier everywhere I go, unless I listen to sad music, that makes me sad." I thought this was kind of funny because it really helped with my research, actually. Because, as he says, music makes him happy except for sad music. So clearly, Jason is a great example of someone who supports the idea that music can be defined as happy or sad, or really any other outstanding emotions. Not only did I conduct my own study, but there have been many studies done on this topic. So, to begin, in a study at Bristol University, Dr. Harry Witchell found that playing 90-second excerpts of carefully selected songs, each evoking their own specific feelings or emotions, had a dramatic effect on the participants. So, in their study, they had a lot of different participants, and they played, as I said, 90-second excerpts of songs that were meant to portray different emotions. In the study, the people, their heart rates appeared to slow down when they began to listen to the music, and then the rates sped up rapidly when the music finished. So this was clearly representing that music can be used to calm people down. Now, other than this study, there were others done. Studies show that people from different cultures can tell the difference between sad music and happy music. I liked this study because it proved that there is a clear definition across cultures of happy and sad when it comes to sound and music. So in this study, they had different cultures listen to music that was from the opposite culture. So they had Western people listening to African music and African people listening to Western music. And in this study, the African people were able to get the right idea of what emotion was being portrayed by the Western music, and the exact opposite happened too. In the second half of their study, they manipulated the original music for Westerners and Africans and asked them how it made them feel. So what this means is that they took the music that they had written and this, like, sort of say happy or sad music, and they just changed it. They made it different. And they asked them how they felt about it. They said that they enjoyed their own original styles of music rather than the manipulated ones, proving that there is a specific way to write the music so that it can be happy or sad. And this proved that regular sounds of consonants and are more soothing to the ear. Part of my research that I found very interesting was the Mozart effect. This stated that people perform better on tests of spatial abilities after listening to music composed by Mozart. On a study I found conducting different things about the Mozart effect, they set up 3 different study groups. One that would listen to complete silence, no music at all. Another group would listen to the Albino Adagio music, and then the final group would obviously listen to Mozart. In the study, they found that people who listened to silence scored the worst on the spatial skill test. Those who listened to the Adagio scored somewhat better, but then not as good as the people who listened to Mozart. This proves that people who are listening to Mozart specifically are able to focus and perform better on spatial skill tests. Now I need to discuss the correlation about how this all relates to my questions. So, all of these studies, including the interview that I conducted, prove that music can be perceived as happy or sad. It proves plainly that there is a definition across cultures of happy music and sad music, no matter how general that is. It also proves that there is a clear relation between music and mood. On many occasions, and many more to come, there is clearly a difference between how people act after listening to music, during, and before. And there is still no way to say that music can definitely cause a mood change. Because we don't know everything about the brain, and because we do know of different variables that could have gone on during tests, there's no way to exactly say that music is the sole reason for mood changes. And that's not what this whole project was about. All in all, it was just about finding out how music can affect mood. And these studies and my interview did prove that. There is clearly a correlation between music and mood. No matter how big or small, there is a way that music will affect us as human beings and our mood. Studies done with people in real life with music playing in the background are things that can help learn more about how music affects mood. In all of the studies that I looked at, it was more of a before and after effect where they would study how music, when you listen to music, what was the effect after. But if we can conduct studies where people are maybe in a real life situation and music is going off in the background that they almost don't realize, we can find out how the subconscious can perceive music. Here is my works cited.